Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Simply Living PEI. It is the middle of June. Sorry, it is the middle of July. It is hot. Very hot. But figured it was about time now that the holiday season is over. We'll go through a little bit of a garden tour and I'll show you how well things are growing. But before we get going, do you guys remember the kidney beans and the pinto beans? Hey Dorinda, this is for you. Now I kept them in the greenhouse. They're not tall, but check it out. We have beans. That is phenomenal. We have lots of flowers too. So when I saw those beans, that just blew me away. Absolutely loved it. So let's start on the deck because there's a few things out here that I actually thought had died because it has just been such a weird season. Check it out. Our first harvest. I pulled, well, most of the garlic scapes off today. And, well, if you don't know what a garlic scape is, it's basically the flower. So if you want a good head of garlic, you pull off the garlic scapes. So I'm going to weigh these because now I'm curious, how much are we actually going to get from the garden? Okay, I got my little bowl. 123 grams of garlic scapes. So according to my little cheater magnet here, 454 grams is a pound. So we have about 1/3 of a pound of garlic scapes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put them in the dehydrator because apparently you can also make like a garlic scape powder, which is fabulous for cooking. So I'm gonna use probably 4 or 5 of those in dinner because we're gonna make lasagna. Why not? And I'm gonna put the rest in the dehydrator and we'll see how that goes. So the garlic scapes are in. I'm putting them in at the same amount that you would use for apples. They've been going for 5 minutes and that is all I can smell. Well, this is what happens when you put garlic scapes in the dehydrator. So we've already got part of them done. I'm gonna pop the rest here in the spice grinder and we'll get these in the little jar. You can still hear little pieces in there. So that's the final result, guys. So I'm gonna pulse that last little bit up there a little bit more. We've got this last bit to pulse, but yeah, garlic scape powder. But first thing, we have cucumbers. Ooh, squint moment. It's really bright out here. So these were the ones that we planted for our little kitchen garden, which I did not weed. Let me yank these out real quick. There we go. A couple of them anyway. But check it out. Lots of flowers. Lots of cucumbers. A couple that didn't pollinate, but that's okay. And these are our last of our our second planting of tomatoes that have to get in the garden. That's the job this weekend. Our big strawberry plant that we've had in this pot for what, 4 years? We have strawberries. Our red maple saplings, they are still alive. But this guy, check it out. He is growing. So one of our little chores here is deadheading the peony. So we've had some pretty blooms. So now you do have to deadhead these guys. Basically cut them back to, you know, a good 6 or more inches away from the head. I'm gonna do this now before I forget. There we go. That looks a little better now. Food thing we're gonna look at are the raspberries and the blueberries. We have a whole bunch of raspberries. I mean a whole bunch of raspberries. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them yet without the one freezer. But wow, check this out. So as you can see, we are covered in raspberries. Now I know this section of grass is not cut, but if you look, there's a whole bunch of raspberries in here that will be going out back. But can you see this? I mean, look at them all. We are gonna be raspberry crazy this year. This blueberry plant, he's got a lot of blueberries, but this one we're gonna have to cover here soon, because look at the blueberries. For such a young plant, this thing is just covered. So the blackberries here, and that one there, I did finally prune them. They are popping like crazy, I tell you. Fabulous job. Now, of course, this year we won't get any blackberries. Next year, though, we will get blackberries. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the grapes. I really have to admit, I'm extremely happy with how these are coming out. And also, I haven't looked at them in a couple of days. So I'm kind of curious how much bigger. Wow, grammar apparently is not my thing today. All right. So what I was saying was that we planted those 4 Marquette red wine grapes, which, you know, I'm not going to make wine. One of them had not budded yet. So we're going to look at it first. So this one hasn't done anything yet. But number 1. Number 2. And number 3. That makes me really happy. I am really hoping that the last one does bud and we get one more. The next row right here, I'm hoping to get the green seedless grapes for there next year. So we will have 1 row of red, 1 row of green. We have Fred's red potatoes at the moment on that 4th row, but that 3rd row, that's where he's going to be transplanting a lot of those little baby raspberries. Yeah, he's not too happy with the fact that once he has the rows planted, that I'm going to let him plant. No more raspberries. I mean, we love raspberries. Don't get me wrong. They will seriously not go to waste. But at this rate, I'll be putting them on a table at the end of the driveway with a sign saying, "Buy me." Time to hit the garden. All right, so like I've said before, I kind of really take advantage of us being together because you guys are my accountability. You guys are the ones that make sure I get out here every day. I was out here for about an hour and a half this morning before the sun came out because I'm not gonna lie, this is wicked hot. And if it wasn't for the breeze, oh my gosh. And we also know I'm not the best weeder. I kind of bend over and weed as much as I can, much as the knee likes me. So it is not pretty. I am not a pretty gardener. I'm sorry. I never will be. We are trying a couple of different ways to minimize the weeds to make it easier on my legs. So far, oh my gosh, one method is turning out to be wonderful. That's down in the bottom garden, but we're going to check out this one first. Look at those onions. Aren't they beautiful? Oh my gosh. Let's show you what's in technically the little garden. So I did pull Actually, while we're here, let's check. Did I get all the garlic scapes? Looks like it. It does look like it. So now that we've pulled the garlic scapes off of all of these, what'll happen from here is that the bulbs down here will actually start getting bigger. Some of the little ones that we planted later on are starting to come up well. And you put your nose in here, that's all you can smell. Of course, Fred's potatoes are doing nicely. That, guys, is a potato bug. Just flick them. There's not a lot, thank goodness. We do have a lot, though, of beautiful potato flowers. Aren't they pretty? Now, the strawberries, we planted the roots, which are right there. That's one of them in the middle. The roots may have been too old because we don't see any plants that have come up. Now, that doesn't mean that the roots are dead. There is the possibility that the roots are in there and they are actually growing, but we do have to actually wait now. We may or may not get strawberries next year. If we don't, we're gonna go, instead of buying like at the clearance sale, we're actually just gonna go and buy some more strawberries. He does want a full strawberry patch. And to be honest, I would love a full strawberry patch. So these, down at the bottom and amongst all these weeds, these are the onions that didn't get pulled last year because we didn't know they were there. But we let these guys go to seed. Now, onion flowers I've never actually seen except in pictures. And this is cool. So I'm hoping maybe we'll get some onion seeds. But check out our onions, guys. So I did get, these ones aren't weeded well, I admit. Oh, and it looks like I yanked some dirt off of that little guy. There we go. But some of these are getting really, really big. I mean, look at this. See that? You can't see that. But it's crazy. Oh my gosh, this mint is gonna drive me nuts. Ah! I mean, look at the bulb forming on that onion. Look at that. We have got so many onions. Wow, I mean, look at that guy. These guys are the Spanish onions, so they are a little bigger. But we have lots and lots of onions. And the dollar store onions up there, who would have thought? Now the peppers are finally gonna start flowering. The peppers really, really struggled. I have always had a problem with peppers. I mean, even the little tiny guy right there. They have come back. I gotta weed the peppers again, of course, because I did not weed those this morning. But I've been trying to keep up on these guys. And we have carrots. Now our next job is actually thinning out those carrots. Now, if you remember, we had 3 different kinds of carrots. This end here was the last of the pelleted seeds, and you can tell there's not very many carrots. Quite a few in a couple of places though. So down here are the pelleted seeds. That's why there's only a few. Those were pretty old seeds. This little section here, which I did not weed yet, guys, sorry. But this section here, these carrots, these were the old just seeds that we had. Just a little package. And same thing, they're starting to come up really well. This this patch of carrots we have to seriously go through and thin down. See how thick they are in there? A lot of these little tiny guys like that need to come out, because some of them are so close in here together that they just will not grow to full size. I would say we have a good healthy crop of carrots. Look at all the peas. And also, Sugar snap peas. We have a lot of sugar snap peas that are actually ready. Check that out. He's almost ready. A lot that are coming along. But there is enough in here, I think. We can put some in Freddie's lunch. The ones that I don't steal. But this is the majority. This is the reason why we plant peas. Look at those. We are covered in peas. And more peas. And more peas. Look at that. The other thing that's over there are actually those leeks that made it. So we have a few leeks that are actually growing really well. But one of the major things that we grow for the winter are peas. Now, I know a lot of people that don't like to plant peas. Because a lot of people plant peas that have never gardened before. And don't realize you actually have to shell the peas. So now this whole row on this side, those are all the Stanhope peas. Those are the last of them that we had left over from last year. And I have to say that they are very productive, taste great, and it makes me happy. The heritage peas, it looks like they're a later variety. Now they are flowering like crazy, but there's no peas on them yet that I've spotted. Doesn't mean they're not hiding. Mosquito. Doesn't mean they're not hiding in there. It just means that right now I can't see them. So the beets, I did weed one little section. They're a little small yet, so I've been accidentally yanking them up, which kind of really annoyed me a lot. And, well, I don't want to lose the beets. So I will kind of badly weed the beets until then. They're big enough I can see, but small enough that I'm accidentally grabbing them. And the beans, I got part of it done. Part I still have to finish. And yeah, the beans are coming along. Problem is the yellow beans and the other heritage beans down here, they are surrounded by kale and some thistles, which I did not know were in there until I grabbed one. Yeah, so this garden will be a mess, but hey, it'll get done. I have to admit that this was where our one little success is when it comes to making my life easier. Now this garden, we put the fabric and the mulch down, which of course the weeds are still gonna kind of creep out from underneath the mulch. So what we had done is Fred put wood around the two beds and we mulched. Check this out. Not many weeds at all. The tomatoes, I've been kind of keeping up as best as I can. I was out here a few days ago and I yanked the weeds and I still have a few. See, right here. There are still a few that are popping up between the wood and the mulch, but not too bad. We have lots of flowers on the tomatoes too. So these are all the early plum tomatoes, plus a few over there. And these guys, those are the beefsteak tomatoes. We do have 4 of the T-posts in, these guys. And there will be 2 more going in each row. And the way it works is we'll be putting rope, a nylon rope, on these, and then we'll be using that to trellis the tomatoes. Now the trellising that we tried, big truck. The trellising that we tried last year, it did work, but I used string. And yeah, the string just kind of rotted. So this year I have a red nylon rope. And as you noticed, I also did not put any tomatoes underneath that orange tarp. I decided to leave that. Now there are some weeds that are popping up. You can kind of see the bulging. I did decide to leave it because I'm going to try the tomatoes there next year. And I am hoping that if I leave that tarp on there, it'll kind of help kill some stuff off. But there's a couple other things that are still growing. The cucumbers, those guys are struggling. I put in a few more seeds. So far, so good. These rows, of course, these aisles, we did not mulch. So I trample them, I weed, and I toss them in. But check it out. We have cabbage this year. So we did plant the flowers around the cabbages like we had found. This cabbage, he's funky. I have no idea what's going on with that cabbage. This cabbage is starting to curl. I mean, don't they look great? This makes me so happy. And the cauliflower. Now the cauliflower is getting eaten by something. I don't know what yet, but they're doing well. And the broccoli, another big truck. And the broccoli, same thing. Look at this. This is phenomenal. Another thing that we did plant that we had picked up were called these wee little pumpkins. Pop him back in the ground. They were struggling and they're actually coming back. This makes me happy. It even has flowers. We have another one right down here. Now this is where the mess really happens. It is really messy. I can't quite keep up down here, I'm sorry. But we have 3 patches of corn. This one we planted. That corn way over there, that's actually those seedlings that we found. And that corn we planted. We have sunflowers everywhere, of course. But these are buttercup squash, guys. So I have 3 plants here, 3 plants there, and 3 plants there. Now I know I could have tilled it again around all those, but that just didn't happen. It wasn't in the cards. So we're actually just gonna let things, also like the butternut squash here, they will trail in and about. Fred and I have been going in yanking some of the weeds out, but yeah, like I said, it's kind of gotten away from us again, but that's nothing new. And the last thing we have are the watermelons. Now I weeded around them a bit this morning, so we have one little guy there, but that guy, and that guy are doing pretty good. So I would say that the watermelons are actually doing really well for clearance plants, better than I expected. Now the last thing we have is this mess. Now same thing, we have a lot of raspberries. A lot of raspberries. Now I was gonna take the lawnmower to this, but Fred wanted the clover. That's all back in here. He wanted the clover to grow for the bees, which makes sense. But we also have a lot more raspberry seedlings in here that will be transplanted. So the hard part though is going to be getting in there to get the raspberries. Is slowly coming along. Our big old ancient cooking apple trees. You know, they're not fabulous. They make great apple juice though. And I'll get as many as I can for apple juice. And also, oh, where'd it go? Oh, did the crows get my pear? I think the crows got my pear. So the pear trees are doing better. That guy is definitely looking better. This guy is slowly getting better. But I had one beautiful pear down there I was going to show you. And it's gone. Oh, We had that one big storm when the pear trees were covered in blossoms. And I'm sorry to say the majority of the pear blossoms were blown away, which kind of sucks. The apple trees, most of the blossoms towards that side actually did make it. But I thought for sure we'd have one perfect pear. Oh well, not this year. So it does look like for carrots, peas, and beans, we're gonna have a great year. I'm really, really hoping that we get some pumpkins and butternut for long-term storage. The onions and garlic, I am absolutely amazed at how well the onions are doing. I have had to take a few flowers off of the onions that we planted, basically the same way as you get rid of the garlic scapes. So we got rid of a couple of flowers that I didn't want. I'm really hoping I'm gonna get some onion seeds from those other onions that are down there. And I have to say, even though it's an absolute madhouse, I'm very happy with the garden this year. It seems like the wood and the mulch are gonna be the way to go. The way he's putting the wood in, it's going down probably about 6 inches. So it's kind of helping stop a lot of weeds in the way. So if we ever do have to sell the house someday, we just have to warn people there's a lot of wood in there. And some of them, he is actually going to put some supports in and make them a little taller for us because the poor knee just does not like it when I'm bent over trying to weed. Hence the reason why my garden looks absolutely terrible. But there is a garden. If you guys want to see a fabulous garden and a great homestead, I'll link it below. There's a fabulous lady that I do follow on my personal channel. Oops, another mosquito. She's in Washington State, I believe, or Oregon State. Either way, she's on the west coast of the United States, and for right now, I cannot remember. It's called Acre Homestead. Her name is Becky. Hi, Becky. I'll tag you. You know, I'm on the other end of the continent. But the raised garden that they had built at their new home, trust me, guys, it's beautiful. If I could do that here, I probably would. So that's the extent of the garden tour because I'm going inside. It is hot. The sun keeps hiding behind the clouds, thank goodness. So right now the humidex is about 34 and it's going up. So in case you're not in the Canada, 34 is hot. In case you're wondering, Celsius, 34 is hot. Okay, that's enough for me today. That's our mid-July garden tour, messy as it is. So thanks for coming out, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you as soon as I learn how to talk again. So go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button right there. Check out our latest video right there. And go ahead and click on that little bell so you can get the notifications from when we post again. Have a great day and thanks for watching. Bye for now.